Okay. I'm just going to start playing this. This video will be about 7 minutes long or so. So if you don't want to watch, if you want to learn, if you want to learn something wild about Elon, buckle up.
And I wanted you to come on and share it with our viewers and listeners. Let's start in 1948 in Operation Paperclip.
Was a classified program that the U.S. intelligence services executed at the end of World War II and for years after. And it brought over at least 1,600 Nazi engineers, scientists, and others over to the United States to help fight the Cold War. And one of those Nazis was a guy named Werner von Braun. And Werner von Braun invented the V-2 rocket, which was otherwise known as the Vengeance rocket. And it terrorized London and Antwerp at the end of World War II. And this guy who created the V-2 rocket was part of Operation Paperclip, and he's relevant, it seems, to the richest man's life in ways that are surprising.
Yeah, so he comes to America, and while he's here, he writes a book called Mars Project in German at Fort Bliss, Texas, and publishes it in 1952 in English. Tell us about this science fiction novel that Werner von Braun wrote.
Yes, well, it's a science fiction novel, but it's a very technical science fiction book. Mm-hmm. The whole last third of it is real technical drawings, etc. Real
rocket scientist.
It was by one of the most famous rocket scientists in history.
Right.
He was a Nazi, but he was a legitimate rocket scientist. But he wrote this science fiction book called Mars Project. And in the book, there is a sort of figure on Earth who demands that we become multiplanetary, which is something Elon Musk says constantly, and that we have to colonize Mars. Well, it turns out when you get to Mars, there's a colony there already, and the leader. What's that?
In the novel, yeah.
In the novel, yeah.
Obviously.
This program is an.
Oops. We're not breaking news here. Yes, in the novel, you get there and there's a colony, and the leader of the colony is the Elon.
E-L-O-N.
E-L-O-N, the Elon. And so you may think, well, that's a strange coincidence. And, I kind of heard this story and thought, hey, maybe it's apocryphal. But then I went and started listening to Elon Musk, who is Elon Musk's father. And Elon Musk said out loud that as a child growing up in apartheid South Africa, he was taught these science fiction books, that he was a huge rocketry fan, and that he did in fact name his son after the Elon. So Elon Musk's father says this.
Elon Musk is named after the guy who ruled the colonies on Mars in the novel written by the Nazi rocket scientist Werner von Braun. And to make it even weirder, those colonies did not live on the surface. Now, Elon has this company called the Boring Company that drills tunnels. Tell us about how the people lived on Mars.
This motherfucker is just changing. He wants our society to be his science fiction book that he cherished as a child. What the fuck? What the fuck? He's not a genius. He's just trying to do this book. He finds these companies and he takes them over. You think he invented Tesla? Holy fucking shit. All right, there's more.
To be in a tunnel, in a closed loop.
Hyperloop.
Which is very reminiscent of the tunnels on Mars that Werner von Braun said the Elon was in charge of.
because people couldn't live on the surface because the surface is so hostile. So this entire society on Mars that they discovered when humans got there was living underground in these tunnels.
That's right, living underground in these tunnels, which tells you that even back then, Werner von Braun knew that trying to colonize Mars was not going to happen unless somehow you were able to create a subterranean world, right?
Right.
One other thing that I think is important to understand is that this colony underground was a technocracy. So it was Elon was basically the dictator, but his court of jesters, as it were, and people around him were all technocrats, engineers, and.
Oh my God! Hold on.
Something to know about Elon Musk is that his maternal grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, was literally the leader of a pro-Hitler fascist movement in the 30s and 40s called Technocracy Inc. You can, this again, it's crazy. You can look it up. And what they wanted was a society that was ruled by technocrats, by engineers and scientists, etc.
Just like the society on Mars in this novel run by the Elon.
Exactly. One thing to know also about Elon Musk, to give you an idea of how sort of deep this goes with him, is that on his SEC filings for Tesla, he's not the CEO, he's not the CTO, he's the techno king of Tesla.
The Techno King. What the fuck? Well, that's some tea right there. That is some fucking tea. Whew. That video is like a month old. Something like that. That guy, wow. Jim Stewartson is his name. So he's basically, he wants our society to be like a science fiction book about life on Mars. And that's why he says we have to go to Mars. Never mind, it doesn't have a fucking atmosphere. Never mind, we could fix this atmosphere. Guys, this guy, like, this is like me growing up, and I'm like, guys, we need to go to Dagobah. I want to find Yoda because I want to learn how to pick shit up with just my hands. Give me your wallet. That's what this motherfucker's doing. Holy shit, that's some tea. So now, after all you've heard, do you still think this was My Heart Goes Out to You?